What's up guys, Ven here, and we are back today with another Halo Reach video. So I've been seeing online that some people who are new to the Halo franchise, or people that are just older gamers in general and haven't picked up a controller in a little while, or keyboard, that they're having some difficulty competing against some of the better players that are in Reach's matchmaking right now. With this game being on PC, the skill cap definitely got raised a little bit, and with FPS just being a much popular genre in general compared to 10 years ago, the skill gap will generally increase. So I'm here today to give you a few tips and tricks on how to play better, improve your skill, and end up getting more kills during your game. Now, real quick before the video starts, if you guys are not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button, turn the bell on for notifications. I try to upload videos consistently throughout the week, and right now they are very Halo Reach centered. And throughout the next year, every time a new Halo game gets ported to the PC, there will be a lot of content for each game on my channel. So if you're a Halo fan,
I got all you need, baby.
So with that being said, here are 5 ways to help you get more kills in Halo Reach. Alright, so starting off, we are going to begin with a tip that I would highly suggest using in any shooter that you play, and that would be to adjust your sensitivity to a sensitivity that feels right for you. Playing with a good sensitivity probably has the biggest impact on your gunplay skill, so you're definitely going to want to mess around with it and find one that feels good for you. So to start off, go over to options and career, settings, controls, mouse and keyboard, controller if you're on a controller. So head down to mouse sensitivity. Mine is currently at 1.8, zoom sensitivity scale 0.6, and I would highly suggest turning mouse acceleration off. Generally, players on mouse and keyboard play with a lower sensitivity and use bigger mouse movements to make up for the lower sense. If you don't know a good starting point to put your sensitivity at, I would suggest going online, looking up what some of the pro players use, set your sensitivity to what theirs is, and then make small changes to adjust it to a sensitivity that feels good for you personally. Like I said, sensitivity probably has the biggest impact on your gunplay skill, and having a sensitivity that feels good will most likely end up getting you more kills. Now, one more small thing, head over to video. Now, if you see this field of view, I would highly suggest putting the field of view to 100 or higher. Increasing the field of view definitely helped me out, and it's just generally a little nicer on the eyes. Alright, so moving on to tip number 2. This is more of a general one, but it is very important, whether you're playing Halo or another shooter, and that is to pay attention to your minimap and know your surroundings at all times. The minimap is a huge tool for your success, being able to see where enemies are, what floor they are on. It allows you to have the jump on enemies if they're not paying attention. It gives you time to plan a strategy of attack if you notice that an enemy is coming up on you. And knowing your surroundings goes hand in hand with looking at your minimap. If you notice that a player is coming up on your minimap, you need to know where you are, the best plan of attack to take, where med kits are, where certain weapons are, which we'll go into later, and any possible escape routes near you in case you need to take one. So let's just say you were in a fight with somebody and you notice that your teammate who was near you died. You will need to constantly be looking at your minimap while engaged with the enemy you're already fighting, looking for that second enemy's red dot. Maintaining your focus throughout the entire game, looking at your minimap, knowing your surroundings, is essential to being a successful player. A lot of players don't keep their focus 100% of the time during games, and if you always are focused on your minimap and surroundings, you will be able to get the jump on players that are just kind of taking a snooze. And even if you're up against someone who's better than you, if you know the map better than they do, you could possibly come out the victor. So know your surroundings, look at the minimap, you will be successful. Alright, moving on to tip number 3, which is probably the second most important tip on this list, and that is to know the weapon spawns on each map. Knowing the weapon spawns, especially the power weapon spawns, is crucial to your team's success, and if your entire team dominates the power weapon spawns, it's basically game over for the enemy team. Now, an easy way to learn the weapon spawns for each map is to simply go into a custom game by yourself and walk around each map figuring out the weapon spawns. It doesn't take that long. I think it took me probably 30 minutes to go through all the maps and figure out the spawns. Doing this will also benefit you, as you will be able to also find out where certain medkit spawns are and where some of the other smaller weapons like DMRs and such, where their spawns are. Now, throughout my experience in Halo Reach on PC so far, a lot of players surprisingly don't go for some of the power weapons. Now, I don't know if that's because people just don't know where their spawns are, or they're just being ignorant and not picking them up. But if you know where the weapon spawns are, you have a pretty good chance of getting it if you go for it at the beginning of the match. So just spend the 30 minutes, go around each map, find the weapon spawns, and I'm sure you'll see a noticeable improvement in your gameplay. Alright, now moving on to tip number 4. This is something where, especially if you are playing as a team, it is very important that you do, and that is to communicate with your teammate. Now, with reach right now being restricted to push to talk, it is a little annoying sometimes to communicate during games, but if your whole team is communicating with each other and using callouts effectively, you will wipe the enemy team if they aren't. Constant callouts telling where enemies are, how low their health is, are all very important to your team's success, and teammates' callouts can help you get more kills. So let's just say your teammate is fighting someone, gets him down to one shot, but he dies. Your teammate can call out, "Hey, blue guy on top of red base, one shot." And then you'd be like, "Hey, I'm on top of red base," and you whip out that DMR and one shot pop him in the head. That's one free kill you wouldn't have had if you didn't know that guy was up there. So please, especially if you're playing in the ranked playlist, communicate. You will play better if you and your teammates are communicating. Alrighty, and moving on to the final tip, which is also the most important tip to do while playing Halo Reach Online, and that is to begin to memorize the player spawns. Knowing the player spawns on each map will give you a huge advantage over the enemy team, and especially if you're following the last tip, which was to communicate, you can communicate to your team where the enemy is spawning, and your entire team can get the jump on the enemy team before they can recuperate after just dying. Knowing all the spawns will allow you to keep the enemy team under constant pressure and will, for the most part, give you an upper hand during your fights. Now, with Forge mode not being in the game yet, I don't really have a specific way to learn the spawns. You kind of just have to play the game, really pay attention to the enemy spawns, where you spawn on each map, and after a while you'll be able to get down where the main spawn points are. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. I hope that some of the tips I gave you guys help you out. Like I said earlier in the video, most of these are general tips, but they are all super important, especially the weapon spawns and the player spawns. I'm sure that if you follow some of these tips, you will see an increase in the amount of kills you get during your games. Now, if you guys have any tips that I did not mention in this video and you think are important, leave them down below in a comment. I'll be sure to check it out. If I like the tip, I'll definitely hit it with that heart react. So as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We out.